This is a Rogue Media Network podcast.
Hey everyone, you're listening to The Public Affair with me, Andrew G. I see someone different every episode, but do me a favor, keep it between us. Hey guys, what's going on? It's me, Andrew G, and welcome to another exciting episode of The Public Affair. I'm so excited to have this next guest onto the show because we've been in talks for at least a year now, right? And I really watched her be grassroots and do her thing and just really stay relevant and put herself out there in the community. So I'm super excited to be highlighting my next guest on today's episode. Now, before we continue, of course, I have to thank Rogue Media Network for producing this episode. And I love early mornings, so thank you so much for being so early in the morning. Girl, we should have brought the mimosas. We should have got the eggs Benedict. We didn't. I know. I'm sorry. Now, of course, Rogue Media Network, and of course to all of you for continuing to like, share, subscribe, support The Public Affair. I truly appreciate you guys so much. Now, before we continue, I definitely want to use this opportunity. I got to give a shout out to just a few of our sponsors of this episode of The Public Affair. This episode is brought to us by David Santabanez with Alinea Real Estate. He remains the #1 sales agent in his office at Alinea Real Estate. That's right. He'll help you buy a home or even sell the home that you're in now or property. You guys, if you don't know what you're doing, he's going to walk you through every single process step by step because that's what makes him the #1 realtor in his office. David Santabanez, si habla español también. Thank you so much for sponsoring this episode of The Public Affair. Of course, to my girl, Anika Armstrong with Armstrong's Bayou Cafe and Bayou Po' Boys, which is the best Cajun, yes, in town. I don't care what nobody says, and we can throw hands behind it, all right? Yes. The best. I love it, and Alexis agrees as well. She's serving the most authentic Cajun cuisine with a wide selection of signature crab cakes, pasta, seafood, potatoes, and so much more. Make sure you guys go check them out at Union Hall and at Union Grove. Follow Armstrong's Bayou Cafe and Bayou Po' Boys on social media. Thank you so much for sponsoring this episode of The Public Affair. Of course, the Blue Star RV Services with my boy, Manny Guerrero, who is a mobile RV tech. Listen, if you guys own an RV, a broke down food truck that constantly like the AC likes to break down or whatever the case is, make sure you hit up my boy, Blue Star RV Services, Manny Guerrero. Him and his team are 100% dedicated and reliable to go out there and make sure your rig is standing tall and back in business. He deals with the warranty companies as well, so you don't have to deal with all that mess. Call the number on the screen. Save his number if you have an RV. Blue Star RV Services, thank you so much for sponsoring this episode of The Public Affair. Of course, to Chef's Pizza and Burgers with Jesse and Tanya Sotomayor, offering a wide variety of delicious lunch and dinner options. Now, they are the best thing to come out of Belle Meade, Texas, with their New York-style pizzas, burgers, subs, delicious Mexican hot dogs, cold beer, delicious desserts that are just addicting, and so much more. Listen, make sure you guys go check them out at 3125 Belle Meade Drive to Chef's Pizza and Burgers. Thank you guys so much for sponsoring this episode of The Public Affair. And of course, to the Texas car plug at University Mazda Kia, my boy Jeff Davis. Hit him up to get the best deal on a brand new or even pre-owned vehicle. Listen, if you got bad credit, if you got good credit, if you have no credit, if your credit's lame, just hit him up. He's going to make sure he gets you the best deal out there. Okay, to Jeff Davis, thank you so much for sponsoring this episode of The Public Affair. Make sure you guys go hit him up for your next ride. And with the number on the screen, thank you. She just complimented the way I spoke before the camp. Yes, thank
literally
you.
in awe. I'm like, how does that? How? I know practice and years, but
years of practice. I told you when I was on the radio, you just told me I talk too fast. Now it's like beneficial.
You're like, yeah, you're like, I do it now.
Yes, but listen, you guys, I'm so excited to have my next guest here on The Public Affair. She's a young entrepreneur on her own right. We met just a little over a year ago when we did a giveaway actually on the. I had to do my homework on that, girl. I'm not gonna lie, I forgot that was you.
You're like,
I'm not gonna forget.
It's been a minute.
It's been a whole minute, but you want to know what? You're really doing your thing. You've really been putting yourself out there in the community. She's really making her way with Waco Balloon Company, even now having a storefront.
Yes.
Okay, very young, fresh out of town. I want you guys to help me welcome my very special guest, Mrs. Alexis Escobar with Waco Balloon Company here on The Public Affair. Hello, welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you for being
having
here.
Me.
Now you're on The Public Affair, so we need you to use your outside voice like you're yelling at your future kids.
Okay? I will. When I have those kids, I will be yelling.
Okay,
I can speak up.
You know, Alexis, you're so young,
yes.
right? You just graduated high school less than 10 years. I mean, it was 2016.
Yeah, 2016.
2016. And so now you're your own business owner. You're doing your own thing. You're really putting yourself out there. I'm sure that comes with lots and lots of challenges.
Oh, yes.
And you know, you look so petite and frail. Like, it's just too much for you.
I know,
sometimes.
yes. I get that comment a lot.
Do
but I'm
really?
like, I surprise a lot of people and they're like, oh, she lifts her own stuff. She gets her own panels out the van.
I don't see you being like a mean boss either.
No. I try to have a good like spine. I feel like I can yell.
Okay.
I can yell, but I don't really use that. I'm very reserved.
I'm actually a bitch off the camera. I'm not gonna lie. I'm such a bitch. I need to stop. I try to be nice, but then people be fucking up, and
you're like, no, listen.
I'm sorry.
Listen.
Well, listen, Alexis, thank you so much for being here. You know, as I mentioned before, we did a giveaway actually with The Public Affair back. I think it was 2023. I think it was just a year ago.
It was about just about a year ago.
Yeah, just about a year ago.
Facebook,
And I remember that you gave away a beautiful bounce house.
Yes.
And what I liked about the bounce house was that it was all white.
Yes.
I'd never seen an all white bounce. It looks so clean.
It's very clean. It's very customizable, any
Yes.
party. Literally, it matches to anything.
Right.
So that's pretty.
How do you keep that clean, girl? Because, especially when you go to these like Fiestas Patrias and it's all dirt on the floor.
Yeah.
You
I was very strict with it. Very like I had to know all the details about
Right.
it before we like agreed on date deposits and agreements.
Right.
A lot of it was just getting very familiar with different cleaning products, contacting people in different states that had them, and they were like in all wet weather. I'm like, how do you keep your so clean and whatnot? So it was a lot of like communicating with other people that had like businesses to get that information,
Right.
what they struggled with, what I needed to look out for. But yeah, those can be a
Is
pain.
the Fabuloso coming in clutch with the
Yes,
parasol? It is.
a little bit of mix. I do my own little mix sometimes here and there, but yeah.
That's what we do. I feel like we mix our shit.
We mix everything.
We mix our concoctions. Now, listen, Alexis, for anybody watching the show, I mean, you're relatively younger. Would you just introduce yourself to us, life growing up and such, please?
Yeah, sure. So I am a true Waco native.
Hi.
Born here, raised here, love Waco through and through.
Uh-huh.
I graduated high school in 2016. Right after that, I went straight to MCC.
Okay.
Go Highlanders. And I did nursing school was very much pressed on me at a young age. So that's all I ever knew. I was like, okay, nursing school, get the job, get the money.
That's it.
And that was my 1, 2, 3 goal. But as I entered in through, did the courses, did nursing school for a little bit, realized clinicals happened. This was a little bit before COVID. I got to see a lot of different clinicals, hospital settings. I didn't like how everyone was being treated. I didn't like how, and I understand there's like kind of like a hierarchy, like, chain of command type of thing. Yeah. I didn't really like how people are being treated. I don't know. It was a personal thing, I think. And so I stepped away from that. Learned. I loved learning all of this stuff, but I just couldn't see myself continuing on.
When you say people being mistreated, are you talking about patient-wise or employee-wise?
It was just like employee-wise. I think it was just like the culture. Everyone had different cultures. Right. And I think it was just seeing like a little bit of behind the scenes how they like treated one another. I didn't really like.
They're messy.
I was like, okay, I could see, but I understand they wanted us to see like the raw, the true, and I was like, maybe this isn't for me.
Being a nurse is so different in this day and age.
Oh God, yes, it is.
I think it's more of a fad, if anything else.
Yeah. Oh well, for me, I still see them as like superhero. Like I could not. Yeah.
Some of them are superheroes. Yes. Shout out to my girls.
Not. Yes. I don't think I could have. With COVID and stuff, I don't think I could have survived that. And I prayed hard about it. And I was like, okay, God, if this is meant for me, give me the strength, give me the need, the want to do it. But I fizzled out and I didn't really see myself. And I was like, bye. And this was obviously way before balloons came into my life. I was like, okay, told my parents, I'm going to take a break from college, school. And, that was hard for them to understand. Sure. But after I took that little break, I kind of rearranged because I didn't give myself the grace to look into different avenues, to look into different careers. I was just like, health career, you have to do it.
Right.
And so as some time went on, I sat there and I was like, okay, COVID happened. And I was like, well, darn, everything's all online.
Right.
That was going to be a little bit more of a challenge to me. And then I figured, okay, well, what can I do for myself? And that was like at the peak of where entrepreneurship, kind of took off in like communities. And so I sat there and I was like, well, what can I do? What can I bring to Waco that isn't already like extensive everywhere? And so I saw in bigger cities like Dallas and Houston and San Antonio had these elaborate balloon businesses. And I was like, what is this? And so I got to communicate with a couple of them, got to know like how they started, their ins and outs. And I figured, okay, well, Waco doesn't have that scene yet. Like there was a little bit like here and there, but there wasn't like a big presence of it.
Right.
And I figured, okay, I love throwing parties. I love hosting parties. I love decorating. I love doing all this. I can learn balloons.
Oh,
sure.
Totally. Yeah.
So it was a lot of self-taught, going to different conferences, going to different conventions, and meeting different people in the balloon community. Funny enough, there's like a whole balloon world in itself. There's so many people you can meet from all different states and countries. But as I kind of immersed myself in there, I realized, okay, I like it. This is fun. This like is something I'm bringing joy to people. Like I love getting to be very crafty and artsy and things like that. So that's kind of where the balloons fell into my lap, I say, and just kind of took off from there and kind of evolved to what it is now.
Absolutely. You mentioned earlier that the only thing you knew was about being a nurse, right?
Yes.
Talk to me about the family dynamic, because it's something that you mentioned earlier that was pressed on you.
Yes.
Right. And so what were your parents doing? Would you say that, did they immigrate from here too? Or?
So, yes. So my dad's from California. My mom is from Tijuana.
Yeah.
And so their careers are aviation. So if you don't know what aviation is, it's a little bit of like all aircrafts, working the hard in and out of them. So my mom did like a technical, I think it's like a technical certificate. So none of them really ever got to do the college experience.
Exactly.
So as being the oldest daughter and, you know, the first of everything, I think they felt college was just it was a big dream and I understood that. But as, you know, she came over here, she learned more about aviation. They met along the way through mutual friends and they stuck with their careers. But nursing was just something that they saw as like a end all be all type of thing.
I was gonna say.
And I understood that from the get go. But as I got older, I was like, you know, this isn't really for me.
That's not for you.
That's not for me.
Did you think that in a way they were kind of living vicariously through you?
I think so. Like having, you know,
in a healthy
being
way,
the first, in a very healthy way, being the
had your best
first.
interest at heart.
Yes, for sure. And then just being the first in everything and being the oldest, it was just a lot of, you know, you feel how many siblings? Do you have any siblings? I was like, I feel like you've mentioned this.
He's in jail.
Okay. Well, anyways,
I have two brothers. Siblings, I love them.
Well, being like, you know, middle, oldest, youngest child, I feel like we each have our own like struggles within the family. So I just felt like for me, when I stepped away from that college scene, it was kind of, you know, hard. I felt like, I mean, I don't feel like I really let them down because they're proud of what I've done now. Right. But now my sister, she's about to graduate through Tarleton. She can fulfill the dream.
Wait, so you didn't finish college?
I did. I just got like the associate's degree. So I'm like, I say I finished college. No nursing degree. No bachelor's, no nothing. I left that to my fiance. Thankfully, he did the bachelor scene. He got a degree. So when we have children, I can be like, yes.
Hello, mom and dad. You could tell them you at least found a man that can provide for the household. You know, that you can fall back on. And just don't sign the prenup.
Yeah, just no. And it's funny that you mentioned that too, because when we started dating, when we met, I felt a sense of like guilt because he met me when I was in college and I met him when he was going through his degree. And when I told him, you know, he was set like, oh yeah, she's going to be a nurse. This is going to be great.
We're going to have the all-American family. And you're like, well, plot twist.
Joke's on you. But
I got booked for a party.
I was like, we got parties to do. And it's funny because I sit there and I really just left. Like, I think towards the end of the semester, we were closing out and I was like, I think I'm going back.
You're done.
I'm done. And so, and it was funny kind of having to tell him as well, because he's the first in his whole family to graduate college too. So we had these high, you know, expectations.
That could put a lot of pressure on you.
Yes. And then as a couple, I told him, I was like, so like, I don't like, I have my associate's degree, but I don't think I'm going to finish college essentially and get a bachelor's like you do. And I think he was kind of on the edge of like, okay, well, then what are you, you know, it brought up all sorts of questions, valid. And so then that's when I jumped into well, I think I'm going to be an entrepreneur. Like, I think I'm going to try to run and own my own business. And then it was just a matter of getting everyone kind of on board to that. Because at that time, you know, it was like it was like kind of scary because no one that we knew really, I mean, I say that, but my grandpa, he lives in Peru. And he's had successful businesses in Thousand Oaks in California that one of my uncles still runs. So it's a well-known. So it's like we've had entrepreneurship in our family kind of embedded, but it wasn't very present.
It's not a thing for everybody.
No.
And it's like you said something really important earlier, that it was when entrepreneurship was like everybody was wanting to do it.
Right. Yes.
You know?
Yes.
Everybody wants to be an entrepreneur.
They wanted to jump on that.
Everybody doesn't have business ethic though. It's so funny. We talked about it yesterday, me and my friends. You know, so how did you build your business ethics? Because I mean, you just had the college experience. You know what I mean? You know, you seem like a real well-rounded woman. You got a good head on your shoulders. You know what I mean? And the man, you know, whatever. But you know, how did you learn business ethics to not just like be snatching wigs all the time you know, being mad at the community? Because surely it was hard for people to support you in the beginning.
Yes,
like it is for everybody,
sure, yes.
And that can be discouraging in itself.
Oh yes.
So talk to me about your experience with that.
So I think for me, and I gift a lot of it to MCC. So when I got a college job with them, I was the orientation leader. So I was very versed in public speaking. I kind of knew how to connect with people that I didn't know or from different states, how to like learn their body language and get them used to like our community, our culture.
Absolutely.
So I feel like that kind of helped me gain the confidence to branch out on my own, to give me the confidence of like, okay, you know, not everyone's going to be on board with this, but as long as you still give yourself the grace and the confidence at the end of the day, that's all that really matters. For me, I think I built my ethics on like trust and honesty. For me, I'm very transparent. People like, even now, like people will come into my shop every now and then will come in and ask me like solid questions about like my business, how I started, or like, what are you doing? Like, if people from like other cities like will come in and shop, or like within our community, they'll come in and ask me, you know, like, how are you doing? Like, you know, I'm not trying to do business, so to speak. I'm trying to do this as like a side,
Yeah.
make more money, make more income. And I completely understand that. And so every now and then I'll have some ladies come in and they'll ask me those questions. And for me, I think that's another part of me that separates from everyone is and I think that's just because my family grew me up. I'm a very giving person. So people can ask me so many things. I'm like, sure, here's A through Z. A through Z. I'm like telling all the things. And every now and then, like, it can like burn me at the end. Because there have been some times where I've shared some more like personal experiences with the business or some more like people say it's earned things that come with the job. And every now and then, like, some people are like, I guess, you know, like they say credits, you know, you give credit where credit's due. Right. Sometimes in the long run, you know, when you give someone that piece of advice and then they take it off as their own and you're like, well, you know, you didn't learn that, you know.
What people don't, yes. People don't understand. Like I've had that experience in podcasting as well. Like I give advice and they take it the wrong way. I'm like, listen, like, no. You know how I got good at what I got good doing? It's because they told me I sucked when I sucked. Yeah.
I accepted those things. Yeah,
you have to be able to take criticism. I'm sure you've done a job before. Oh, yes. Right? Where the early days wasn't satisfied and they're like, what is this mess?
Like, what was going on?
And you learn from it.
Yes, yeah, for sure. Like for an instance, there was one time, like my very first year, color matching is a big thing for me now. So there can be a shade of red that I'm thinking like your Spider-Man Hello Kitty red. Well, the client can be like, no, I want like a deep like burgundy red. And in my head, I'm like, I see that as true burgundy maroon, but they see that as a shade of red. Okay. So I felt like in the beginning for me, color was very hard to like, red is red, green is green. Like, what are you talking about? But for me, I think one of my hardest ones was trying to figure out like, okay, I see it as this color, but no one gives me a picture. They just give me a verbal like for sure. Red maroon. And I show up with this and they're like, what is that? Like, what is this? This isn't the right color. Yes. Like, give me an idea. So now obviously I've learned along the way and now I take like hard photocopies. I take samples of invitations and all these different things to kind of help offset, you know, anything that did happen in the past. But.
And I feel like y'all's business, because one of my very good friends is Ana Limones.
Yes, I do know her.
I love her, yes. And she was on this show, Hummingbird Party Backdrops and Decor. And, you know, I think people look at balloons, like, how can you start a business off of this? And, you know, this is so menial. But I watched her. My best friends had a baby shower the other day, and the other week. And I watched her blow up every single one of those balloons by herself. Yes. Girl. Where are the employees? Yes, I have zero patience. Yes. Shout out to you, girl, because I would have been
like, I'm gonna go bye. I'll be back. Yes. No.
It's so crazy. But you're a one-woman show, right?
So far, on and off. I can be a one-woman. Okay. Yeah. Every now and then I'll hire people to come in and do installs for me, or I'll hire like. There's a thing I do in Valentine's season. I do an Adopt the Grandparent event. Oh, okay. And so it's really cute. We give back to the elderly community, you know, because this evolved during COVID when no one could go to hospitals, you know, visit their loved ones in nursing homes. Totally. So now last year, Ellie, shout out to Ellie, 254 Balloons. She helped me inflate we did over like 100 miniature little like balloon sculptures to deliver. And I kind of was like, hey, you know, how's it going? Do you think you want to help me? And she's always for it. Like, she's the one I'll call and be like, hey, can you do an extra install for me? Can you come help me with these? So that Adopt a Senior event was one where we were there till late, like both inflating and talking. But I mean, it goes by faster when you have help. Yeah, totally. But it does, I will say, it takes special people in this business, in this type of world, to love the job, you love what you're doing, because it is a lot of time and it takes a lot of stress, and a lot of people don't realize, like, thank God I don't have arthritis yet, but I have heard some people, and I've met older balloon artists that are like, I can only do like 2 jobs a week because it hurts. You have to watch it be happening. Yes, you have to see it to believe it. Yes, and I'm like, oh my, like, you know, I'm like, I give myself the grace and I take care of my body now, because I'm like, this will be a long-term job. Like, I see this as my growing into different things, but I do know like health is important, so I have to like take care of myself now to live long and like extend my business. That's for sure. Oh no. Okay, all them balloons finna stink. Yes. Well, listen, Alexis, I'm having the best time. I definitely want to learn more about your career. Some of the harder parts, you know, that you probably don't talk about too often, that I feel like people need to hear, and you know what your future goals are. But we're gonna take a quick break. Sure. Okay, and when we get back, you guys, we're gonna have more of my very special guest, Mrs. Alexis Escobar from Waco Balloon Company, here on the Public Affairs. So make sure you guys stay tuned.
Hey guys, I hope you're enjoying this exciting episode of of the Public Affair. My very special guest, Miss Alexis Escobar. Now, before we continue, I definitely want to use this opportunity to give a shout out just a few more of our sponsors of this episode of the Public Affair. Of course, to Julian and Ana Banda with Banda's hauling service. You can always depend on them to rent dump trailers. You fill it up, they haul it away. They'll bring roll-off dumpsters as well. They also do trunk removals. They do tree brush removals. If your car breaks down, you need a tow. They can be dependent on that as well. But Banda's hauling service is that number that you just need to save in your phone, because something's going to happen one day and you're not going to know what to do, but he's going to pull you out of that sticky situation. Pun intended. So Banda's hauling service, thank you so much for being a longtime sponsor of the Public Affair. Of course, to Jeffrey Montreal with Pollo Box and Audio, home for all your LED needs and auto accessories, installation of stereos, door speakers, and audio systems. He also specializes in custom subwoofer enclosures and so much more. The reason why y'all be hearing Cheetah Girls basing in South Waco is because of me and Pollo Box and Audio. That's me, okay? Thank you so much for all you do for me in the Public Affair below. Make sure you guys call him with the number on the screen for your consultation. Of course, to Soco Soccer Academy with Dominic Gutierrez and Ariana Gutierrez offering team, small group, and individual skills training. And Soco Kids is also offering some of the best daycare services in town. If you guys want your kids involved in something productive and something beneficial for them and something beneficial for their socialism, make sure you guys get them involved at Soco Soccer Academy. If you guys want professional skills training with George De Leon, make sure you give them a call as well. And of course, I want to give a huge shout out to the Soco Soccer teams, coached by my brother, Coach Mauro Maldonado. Of course, shout out to Coach Megan and Coach Jeff Knapp as well. You guys are truly doing amazing things for all these kids at the Soco Soccer teams. They're champions. Yay. The little champions, and I love being involved, and anything that I can do for you guys at any time, please just let me know. To Soco Soccer Academy, thank you so much for sponsoring this episode of The Public Affair. And of course, I want to give a shout out to one of my new sponsors, to Chefito's Kitchen with Al Gutierrez and Adriana Gutierrez. Listen, you guys, they are serving the best in Latin cuisine, including, oh my goodness, arroz con gandules. They got plátano maduro. They got Cuban sandwiches and so much more. Listen, make sure you guys follow their social media for daily lunch specials as well. Check them out at Union Grove, or just place your order for delivery on DoorDash, Grubhub, and more. You guys, truly, truly delicious. And I grew up on that food too, so I'm all for it. To Chefito's Kitchen, thank you guys so much for sponsoring this episode of The Public Affair. Of course, we're back with my very, very special guest, Miss Alexis Escobar. Now, Alexis, girl, being a business owner sounds all fun. It's all dandy, right? And you're your own boss. You make your own schedule, blah, blah, blah. There's that be happening.
Yes.
I didn't want to curse, and then I realized I cursed like 5 seconds.
You're like,
it,
wait,
right?
I just
because she's so sweet. She's like Crabtree and Everlyn. You know what I mean? You're just gorgeous. I mean, I know you're no naive. Yeah.
No,
okay.
No,
yeah.
no.
So I wonder. In the beginning, surely you were learning a lot,
yes.
running the business and stuff like that. How often had you had lowball offers and you were like, girl, that's just not going to work? Like, yes. Okay. Let's talk about it.
It happens. And I accept, like, I understand everyone's always on a budget, but there's sometimes, and it's funny enough that I'll get like out of town people that are like, hey, we're here, like we'll get our tourists.
Sure.
And they're like, hey, I have this idea. And they'll send me this elaborate photo of like decorating the living room, decorating their bedroom, decorating the outside. And, I give them my estimate. And they're like, well, someone, and they'll compare me to someone back at home. I don't know where they're from. And they're like, well, they can do it for, and they'll say like, I guess like $200 less. And I'm like,
yeah.
Well,
So why didn't you call them?
I'm like, you want to bring them with you or something? And it's funny. And every now and then, I'll get someone like here, they're like, well, again, they'll send me all the elaborate photos. And then I have to be like, realization, let's bring it back down a notch. Like if you want something like all like this, this is the budget you're really honestly going to need.
Absolutely.
And some of them understand. And then, you get the ones that ghost you and I'm like, hello, are you there? Hello, what happened? And then I'm like, okay,
That's it.
And I'm like, okay, delete, understand.
That's it. Move on.
At least a thank you for your time. We're going a different direction, or never mind, it's out of our budget. But no, you still get the ones that are like,
that just don't say shit.
And I'm like,
do you find yourself having to justify your prices often? Because I think a lot of people think it's just,
yes.
I know, like I said, I saw my girl Anna blow up all them balloons, girl.
But they do say it's just balloons. And
yeah,
then I'm
but
like,
they do, right?
They do say
and that has
they
got
do
to grind your effing gears.
It does.
Yes.
And I sit there and I think, what? And I'm like, okay, you go do this job.
That
you go
pink.
climb on a ladder.
Yes.
You go climb 20 feet up in the air and you try that. But no, there's some times where I'll even get people that just like bluntly like say, for that much for balloons? And I'm like, yes, ma'am, no, yes, sir. Like, this happens. And then like sometimes I'll get the phone call, and like sometimes I'll get the husbands that are like, hey, my wife gave me this task of like, my daughter's 6th birthday's coming up and this is what she's expecting. I'm like, okay, here's an estimate. And he goes, all of that for balloons? And I'm like, yes. And I, sometimes I'll go into detail, and sometimes I'm like, I don't have to go into detail. I'm like,
yes,
and sometimes
exactly.
I'm at the state and age where I'm like, I save myself some time, and I'm like, point blank, it's this much.
That's it.
You know, sometimes take it or leave it, not to be rude, but like my time is my money. Like time is money. And I do understand that now because I could answer 20 emails. And out of those 20 emails, you know, ideally you don't book all of them because sometimes they happen on the same day. They happen, you know, that they're like, this is my budget. And I'm like, okay, this is what I can give you on your budget. And sometimes they're either really happy with it or they're like, that's it. And I'm like, I'm sorry. Like, that's all I can do. Like, and I'm at the state where I have a shop. So I have to keep that in mind. I have to, you know, make X amount every month to cover all my bases to make sure that's always good. Right. And sometimes people don't understand that, like, there are differences in Waco. You know, there are home-based businesses. That's how I started, that, you know, can offer different varieties of pricing. But for me, I'm at the state where I have to be set in my stone and I have to be like, you know, you're booking this, you know, I have a studio. 100. I'm more on the like luxury end, depending on like what they want. Sure. And I come with, you know, all the things. But
I'm sure people misconceive how labor intensive.
Yes, they do. They do. And I totally, like, I sit there and I look from the opposite side. And sometimes I'm like, you know, I'll get the client that wants A through Z and they will buy A through Z. And then sometimes I sit there and I'm like, I do all like the math and I'm like, it's going to take me this long, this much of materials. And then I sit there and I'm like, would I pay for that? And like, if I had the money, yes, I definitely would. But sometimes I'm like, you know, like, I get why I'm charging this much because it's like pricing and the labor and like the transporting. I have a big Sprinter van, so I keep that in mind. It's diesel. Diesel is so dang expensive. Yes. So expensive. But these are all the things that like I sit there and I like sometimes we'll have to justify, like, you know, you're supporting a small business that has more than just your average home-based business. You know, we have utilities, we have a storefront, we have all these different things that we have to factor into the pricing, which some people do understand and they agree, and some people are just like, people don't. You know, they're like, I want something in the $20 range, and I'm like,
$20? How much is something like that? I'm like,
something. So if
is this $20?
No, this is not $20.
How much is this?
No, so this one, just like this, is about like $65, $70. So you know, you get a huge 2-foot balloon with a logo or, you know, a decal or whatever.
I should have got one with the public affair.
Yes, I know. I should have copied it. I should have copied it.
It's okay. It's okay. But we'll do it next time.
Yes, we'll bring you next time. But no, it's funny, and I'll sit there and like I completely understand. Like sometimes people and like they think sometimes if they're doing a last minute thing, $20 is enough to give her, and I'm like, it's really not. It's not, I'm like, to buy, and it's funny. I learned this early on in the business. Amazon, Party City balloons, what's the other one? Walmart balloons are nothing compared to what us balloon artists use, and they cost money. Like a basic 50 count bag is about $7-8 a bag, you know, and that's just for one color. And you know, and it's the costly things of buying all your materials. And I'm not going to sit here and give the list, no, but like it adds up. And sometimes people don't understand it, that it's just balloons. And sometimes people, and I've gotten the comment, it's made me laugh before. They're like, well, can you not just go to Walmart? And I'm like, no, this is sorry. Not a Walmart-based business. I'm like, this is it. I'm like,
maybe for the pump.
I'm like, maybe. I'm like, and you know, sometimes I'll get the like, well, can you do this Amazon kit? And I'm like, no, I'm sorry, I can't, because you know, and I've learned early on, Amazon. I have no shade to Amazon. I love Amazon. Yeah. But like, what you're buying is never what they advertise. And I know a lot of people, I have friends with different girls in different states where they have these elaborate balloon businesses and they're beautiful work, like custom work, and Amazon, and it's not Amazon, it's like, you know, third-party businesses that will steal their artwork and pin it as their photo, and they're like, $20 kit for this like $800,000 work. And I'm like, I sit there, you know, they always share it when it happens to like let people know, but like, you know, their photo is still being shared and used for their work that's not, you know, quality. And people expect, you know, sometimes people, they don't know, and they're like, oh yeah, $20 for that, perfect. And then they get the kit and they try to make it, and they get this like wimpy little like stubby little garland, and I'm like, if you only knew, knew. And that's why I'm so against them, because you don't, the quality's not there. For me, it's not worth my time to try to even mess with them, because they're very cheap. They mess with your hands a lot. There's weird residue on them.
Okay.
I'm like, no.
It's the little things that we don't think about, right?
And it's funny because it's always the little things that people don't understand or hear about. And I'm always like, you know, buy a bag from us, buy a bag from any distributor, and compare it to an Amazon kit. Right. You will appreciate the difference and understand that there is a difference in like high quality balloons versus like your cheap dollar latex balloons. But not the average people know that. So that's what's always funny when I try to educate people, because they're like, it's just balloons. No, I'm like, it's not.
It's not just balloons. It's Waco Balloon Company.
Yeah. I'm like, it's either elevated or it's not.
Alexis, why was it important for you to have a storefront versus home base?
So I love my fiance and he loves me very much. So we live in a 3-bedroom, 2 bath.
You have to clarify that. Okay.
So it took over my home space so much. So we had a spare office. We had a roommate at the time, like 2 years ago, and he moved out with his girlfriend at that time. And so I was like, great, I have 2 offices to work from. But it just became too much. Like that work-life balance was just zero. Because I would just get up from bed, walk to the office.
Right.
And, you know, like it was all just under one roof, which was fine for a while until it started taking over. Like I would get so many orders over the weekend. It would just pile up and it was just taking up too much space, really. Sure. And I sat there and I was like, one, I was falling into like the dip of like, I love what I do, but it's just so...
Everything's repetitive
It was so repetitive. And it wasn't set in stone. It wasn't like go here. It wasn't. And it was hard for me to like kind of get out of that little funk. And I was like, something has to change. So as I was taking on these big orders, I was like, I'm running out of room for these things. Like I can only take so much. And so that's when I got the Sprinter van and that helped a lot because I was able to transport all of these huge items. And then my second goal was, okay, I need a storefront, one for myself and for my community. Right. For myself to give myself a studio to actually get up and go from point A to point B, to change that, you know, scenery, to give myself an office space to work from. The second important part of that was to give my community, the balloon people, the party people, a space to go in and shop, a space to go in and talk to someone, or even for my clients. I do everything's by appointment. So they'll call me and be like, hey, you know, I'm looking for
like a
consultation to make it more official, a little more higher scale. And so people will come in, we'll have a one-on-one. Sometimes people are very, they have to come see me. And I understand some people are very like, they can call me, they trust me, text me, they're like, show up with whatever, I'll be happy. Yes, girl. But there are some clients that are like, I have to physically see you and show you all the things.
Absolutely.
And I completely understand that.
And it's safer to do it at the storefront so you're not just getting strangers. And then the best thing is that you're next to Little Caesars Pizza. Right?
Exactly. Oh gosh, just walk over, get me some slice of pizza. But it was also like, it's funny that you say that, safety. So I would do balloon, I call them to-go balloons. So balloon garland people would pick up, that's more on the affordable side. So like a $60, $90 balloon garland, people would come up to my house and they would pick it up. And then I got the whole, I'm giving people my address. I live in a safe community, but I was like,
you gotta be careful.
I'm just giving people my home address. Someone could,
matter.
You know.
Somebody was outside my apartment this morning.
Stop.
I swear. No names.
No.
I meant to call my best friend and tell him.
I was like, snap a picture and get in the car. Oh, God.
He's like, what are you doing? I was like, why are you here? I had to pretend I wasn't home, bitch, and the music was on. I was like,
no, you're like, wait, but I'm home.
All I heard was
hides the door.
Obviously there for things that I wasn't about to do.
You
before
weren't
the show.
doing it.
Okay, so
you're like, go away, go away.
Why you have to call before you
call me before you show up, please?
And how'd you know? Anyway,
right? Like
that was a little detour. It was a little bit scary, but we're good.
But you know,
but no, you can't just be having random strangers.
No, I can't just have random people,
especially when you're about to start a family. And
exactly.
Stuff like that.
Yeah, and so that's when I like nixed that, and I was like, we have to look for a storefront, and like this is going to be more profitable for my business and help grow my business.
Sure.
But I sat there and I was like, okay. It helps for those people. And then I saw where people like me were going, and we were going to Dallas. We were going to Austin. We were paying for overnight shipping. We were, you know, taking a day out to go shop for our balloon supplies that we need.
You have it here.
And now it's in Waco.
Oh, I love that.
And so I sat there and I was like, this has to happen. Because, you know, we're all suffering. No one's saying anything, but we're all suffering. And so I was like, okay, I love helping everyone. Let me be the one that takes on that other crazy business stress and bring that into Waco, because it is needed.
I got you.
And I get the phone calls, I get the texts, I get people that are like, hey, you know, do you have this color? And like all custom orders sometimes, like someone that's gonna have a big event that they're booking, they're like, hey, like they're super pumped for this event. I'm like, great, like let me know what you need and I'll order it to make sure you have your supplies, that way you're taken care of. And so for me, I just saw it as like an outlet to help me and help our party community to come in to a place to shop, come in and do a consultation. And it's just been perfect.
Do you think that that's been beneficial in building relationships with because, you know, when you guys are doing the same business, competition can be like inevitable, right? But do you think doing something like that really helped you foster a good relationship with the other balloon artists? I mean, we mentioned Anna, we mentioned Kevin earlier. So do you think doing something like that kind of like is beneficial with like building relationships with them?
It's helped foster like a good community. So like I'm a very like, hey, do you know this person? Well, no, great. Now you're going to know this person. And not everyone's like that. And I understand that. So for me, it was a nice place to like, every now and then I'll get like 2 people that come in at one time. And, you know, they don't either are shy, you know, won't talk. And I'm like, hey, this is so-and-so with, you know, whatever. And, you know, this is so-and-so. You know, every now and then they hit it off or whatever. And so for me, it was a good comfort in knowing that I could help grow that. And I hate using the word competitor because for me, I mean, I know we're all we have one end goal is to make
Sure.
business, to make money. We're striving for the business goal. For me, I'm like, if I can help you out on the long run,
It's
you'll
all
help
good.
me out maybe
Absolutely.
later on down the road.
Mhm.
And so I love getting to know that like a majority of us are very friendly and we understand that, yes, we have the same business, but it's not going to kill you
Right,
to
right.
like lend a hand when
Sure.
a hand is needed. But there are some, I will say, that I've crossed into in the past, but they're very like, don't ask me questions.
Not nice.
Don't talk
yeah.
to me. And I'm
Yeah.
like, why? I'm like, what? And I'm like, okay, trying to introduce
Yeah.
myself, and they're like,
Don't get me started,
no.
girl. We'll be here for another hour.
Oh
Okay.
God, I know, but I understand. Like people
Yeah.
are reserved for their own rights, and but for me, I'm like, I haven't burned you, you haven't burned me. Why can't
I love it.
Why can't we kind of like get along in the same space? It's Waco. Everyone knows the person Like I could know probably 5 people that you didn't realize.
You probably know the person that was outside my house.
So like, see, but like Waco's so small, and
so
like
small,
having
yeah.
lived here for forever, like
Yeah.
you grow those relationships and you grow that community and networking that it's really good to have here. So
I love it. Well,
Yeah.
Alexis, so we got a lot going on in life though, right? So you're
Yes.
obviously doing really big things with Waco Balloon Company, but you're also engaged. Congratulations. I'll be
Thank
crashing
you.
the wedding, whether you like it or not.
I'll text you. Be like,
Yes.
hey, come on.
I'm just going to be
It's
there. And if you see me.
Open bar, just
girl,
chilling.
if you
Please
see me-
dance. If you
I'm
show
going
up,
to
just
tear
dance.
your wedding up. I'm
Just
not gonna lie.
dance.
I go to weddings and fuck shit up. I'm not gonna lie. Yeah, so I'll go over there and your husband will probably be like,
He's gonna be like, why is he
you
here?
invited that guy.
Why is he here?
Do you
No.
find, before we leave, do you find it easier now to juggle both your hectic, busy life and then your personal life as well?
I feel I've been able to grow enough to where I know my set, like I give myself my set hours. Like sometimes on the weekends I'm bad at that because I'm like answering everyone while I'm working, and I'm like try not to do that. But now it is a lot easier having a storefront and having those set like boundaries.
Yes.
Because I've talked to so many other business like owners here in Waco, and they're like, if you don't do that, you will burn out fast.
Sure.
And I understand, because I did feel like that at one point, but now it's just I've given myself a schedule and I know everything. And my fiance is super happy about that, because it used to be really bad. He'd be like, why are you still working? It's 9-10 o'clock at night. Why are you still working? I'm like, because I have to, I have to answer someone. I have to post this. I have to do this. And now I'm like, it's 6 o'clock. They can catch me when I'm open. They can catch me in the morning or in the afternoon.
Exactly,
so.
yes. I'm hoping that's what this other person did to me yesterday when I texted them.
Oh.
But, okay.
Yes.
Alexis, first of all, if we want to book with you, how do we get in contact with Waco Balloon Company?
They can find us on our website, Waco Balloon Co. at, oh my gosh, why am I going? WacoBalloonCompany.com.
We'll put it in the comments.
We'll put it in the comments. Facebook, Instagram, it's all the same. Waco Balloon Co. Gmail, WacoBalloonCo@gmail.com. Basically, all of those avenues I figured out now, you can Google and we pop up. And I'm like, check, Waco Balloons. It's right there. So it's really easy to contact us. Text, call, email. We do it all.
I love it.
So.
Well, Alexis, thank you so much for coming on to the public
Thank
affair. Is there any
you.
shout outs or anything you want to leave us with before we go?
Dad, mom, my whole family, my fiance, Ellie, y'all are all my stone. They've helped me a lot. My dad, I don't know if you watch our Instagrams, Dad's there all the time.
Is he? Okay.
He's literally on the weekends. He takes off
Good
from
for Dad.
work,
Yes.
helps me. He's like 8 o'clock in the morning. So where are we going today?
Yeah.
So I love it. Good
That's
support
so great.
system.
Alexis, congratulations to you, and I really hope
you.
that you're able to achieve longevity in your business and keep doing your thing. And I really like getting your I guess your perspective on things, especially when opening the storefront.
Yes.
Really helping build community within your career. So big ups to you, congratulations to you, and I wish you nothing but the best. And thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy schedule to come on the public affair.
Yes, it was an honor. It was fun. I loved
thank
it.
you. I love this so much. To all of you guys, make sure if you need any balloon decorations or anything, hit my girl Alexis Escobar at Waco Balloon Company. Thank you again so much for coming on to the public affair. You guys, I've got more of the public affair on the way. Now, before we go, I definitely want to use the opportunity to give a shout out just a few more of our sponsors of this episode of the public affair. Of course, to our girl Ana Limones, Hummingbird Party Backdrops and Decor. You can call for all party decor, including beautiful balloon props, giving an extra flair to your party or event. And she also offers a number of wooden custom backdrops as well. She leaves no crumbs. We both know. We can both attest to this.
Yes.
That girl works her ass off.
Quality.
She's truly the quality work.
Quality.
I love her so much. I love what she does. And big ups to you, Hummingbird Party Backdrops and Decor. Make sure you guys book with the information on the screen. Ana Limones, thank you so much for all your support for the public affair. Of course, to my boy Sid Rodriguez, whose birthday is today, as of the day of this recording. Happy birthday to you, bro. Elite Barbershop, located on Hewitt Drive. You can call the number on the screen or download the Squire app. Walk-ins are welcome as well. He also has Marcus Guerrero, Chris Reyes, Santos Cordova, David Rodriguez, Isaac Chavez, Clint Fletcher, Isai Reyes, and Sam Ceballos, making you look as snack as I have for more than, I forget, this is 216 or 17, one of those episodes of the, I've been losing count, girl, I'm not gonna lie. It's 200 and something episodes, but you know what? Sid has been there since day 0. So Sid, thank you so much for sponsoring this episode of The Public Affair. And of course, the J. Pedo and Poke with Junior Fuentes, Thomas Roberts, and their entire family. Oh, I love it. I love it so much. And they're so hot. The whole family's so hot. They provide delicious, savory Japanese crepes and poke bowls. They also have handcrafted Thai rolled ice cream. For dessert, you can choose from a menu item or just be like me. I like to create my own custom poke bowls on the J. Pedo app. It's giving. Oh my goodness, I can't tell you what to get. You just need to download the app and just pick what you want. And everything is so fresh. It's so healthy, especially if you're into working out and you need those additional proteins. To J. Pedo and Poke, thank you so much for sponsoring this episode of The Public Affair. To all of you guys, I truly appreciate all the love and support that you guys continue to show the show. I've got more on the way. Alexis, girl, thank you so much. I'm going to help you carry those balloons down.
Yes.
Okay, and then
put you to work.
Yeah, she's going to put me to work now. But don't forget, guys, to always keep it between us.
This has been a Rogue Media Network production. Are you a podcaster? Let's talk podcast hosting. Are you tired of your current podcast host? Need real support in a community that gets it? At Rogue Media Network, we offer top-tier podcast hosting services to help you thrive. From hosting and distribution to dedicated support, we've got you covered. Starting as low as $25 a month. Join our community of passionate podcasters today. Contact us at hello@roguemedianetwork.com.